The Maroons that are living in St. Elizabeth in Accompong is planning an overthrow for the government.
Really and truly, when you believe this, an overthrow or an attempted overthrow of the Jamaican government would be a suicidal mission. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Una really and truly think say Richard Curry is going to lead his people into a suicidal mission, and him know what him would up against? Him would be going up against the British government, because remember my people, the British government is the head of state in Jamaica. In layman terms, them pretty much own Jamaica. We have independence, but we still follow British law. When we become a republic now, maybe that's a different story. So British government would have come fight, US government would have come fight, and a lot more countries over the world would actually come to the aid of the Jamaican government. So Richard Curry not going to lead his people into a suicidal mission. No, this whole debate of whether or not the Maroon people are indigenous people to the island and whether or not them have any form of sovereignty, let's dive into it and pick out truth from nonsense. Alright, let's get into it. Here's the clear, correct and detailed explanation of the Maroons in St. Elizabeth, Accompong, their history and whether they are indigenous or sovereign within Jamaica, because that has been the big debate over the years. Are the Maroons in St. Elizabeth indigenous people? Yes, the Jamaican Maroons are officially recognized as indigenous people under international framework, especially by the United Nations Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues. So they are indigenous. Why? They are descendants of enslaved Africans who escaped plantations before and during British colonization. They form autonomous self-governed communities with distinct culture, language elements, land use practices, and political structure. They signed treaties with the British in the 1700s, granting them self-governance over specific territories. But they are not indigenous in the same way as Native Americans or Amerindians. They are not pre-Columbian inhabitants. They are classified as indigenous Maroon communities because they form unique, continuous, sovereign-style societies long before the modern Jamaican state. Are the Accompong Maroons sovereign citizens or a separate state? Legally under Jamaican law, no. Historically under treaty, yes, partially. Culturally and politically, yes, self-governing. What the Jamaican Constitution says, Jamaica considers all land to fall under the authority of the Jamaican government. Accompong is not a legally recognized separate country or microstate. They are citizens of Jamaica. What the Maroon Treaty says, 1738 to 1739. The British signed peace treaty with the Maroons that granted autonomous internal government, exclusive control of their lands, the cockpit country zone, their own leader, and council, the right to live free and self-govern. These treaties were never revoked, so they are still in existence. So under international law, such treaty can imply sovereign internal rights but not full independence. So what are they? Accompong is best described as a self-governed indigenous community within Jamaica, not a separate sovereign state. They have a chief, Maroon laws and council, independent cultural governance, special treaty rights recognized but debated. They do not issue passport, currency, or immigration control, so they are not fully a sovereign nation. Is Accompong a state within Jamaica? No, it is not legally a state, province, or a country in Jamaica, but it is a semi-autonomous treaty territory, a protected indigenous community, a historically recognized sovereign village under Maroon governance. Think of it like Native American reservation, similar structure but not legally the same system. History of the Maroons in St. Elizabeth, Accompong. The origin. When the Spanish ruled Jamaica before 1665, several enslaved Africans escaped in the mountains. When the British invaded, even more Africans escaped. These groups merged, former Spanish freed slave, some Taino survivors, Africans brought by British plantations who later escaped. They formed independent warrior community in the Cockpit country. The First Maroon War, 1728 to 1739. The British tried to capture the Maroons for decades but failed due to guerrilla warfare, knowledge of the terrain, support system amongst escaped Africans. The British lost badly and negotiated peace. The Treaty of 1738 and 1739. That is what they signed. The treaty with the leeward Maroons, granted them autonomy, land rights, self-governance, freedom, and cultural rules, a defined territory within the Cockpit country. In return, they agreed to stop fighting. They agreed to return future runaway slaves. The Second Maroon War, 1795 to 1796. Tension grew again, but the Accompong Maroons remained loyal to the British and helped suppress the rebellion, which strengthened their political legitimacy. So them helped send back some of the slaves them. Post-emancipation to modern time. After 1838, the Maroon maintained their separate community. They protected their land with strict cultural laws. The Jamaican government acknowledged their unique status but did not grant statehood. Current day status. Accompong still has a colonel elected by the community. Annual celebration, example January 6 Treaty Day. Self-managed land, ancestral laws, treaty claims. But they must still follow Jamaican constitution, Jamaican criminal law, Jamaican taxation, and national laws. They operate like a cultural sovereign territory but not a separate nation state. Summary question. Are Maroons indigenous? Yes, recognized as indigenous community. Are they sovereign citizens? Culturally, yes. Legally, no. Is Accompong a separate state? No. It is autonomous but independent. Do they have treaty rights? Yes, still in effect since 1938 to 1939. So that is the facts right there, my people. Any war against the Jamaican state is a no-no. And this has been a debate for many years, whether or not the Maroons in Jamaica, in St. Elizabeth, and elsewhere are actually indigenous people. Are they a sovereign state? They are sovereign set of people based on the treaty. And remember, this treaty was actually signed between the British and the Maroons. And who is the head of state in Jamaica? The British. So the treaty is still in existence. Okay? The treaty is still in existence. It's not a treaty that was signed between the Jamaican government and the Maroons. So even though Jamaica is quote-unquote independent, you have to remember we have the Prime Minister, we have the Governor General, who is a representative of the King Charles in King Charles in England, and then King Charles is the head of state in Jamaica. I don't know what will happen to that treaty when Jamaica actually become a republic. Because remember, when you become a republic, you're doing away with the colonial master. So the British will no longer be the head of the Jamaican government. And remember, if you're a republic and we are said that Jamaica control all the land in Jamaica, then the Maroons is going to be in a pickle. Because more than likely, I'm not sure, I guess they would actually challenge that in international court, to still remain an independent sovereign tribe in Jamaica. So maybe they would have tried to wrap that into when Jamaica become a republic, but that will have to be resolved in international court. Yeah, because in order for it to become a republic, more than likely the British government have to give us the go ahead to do so. If them not sign off on it, me no know how that work. I'm not like a legal scholar on that. I just did some research based on what is currently the status of the Maroon community in Jamaica. Yeah, you see, the thing is, there's a lot of back and forth to say whether or not these people have the right to self-govern themselves in Jamaica. Of course, it's common sense. It's clear as day. Their treaty that they signed is between them and the British government. They don't have an agreement with the Jamaican government. So if the Jamaican government actually infringe on those rights, the Maroons and their leaders can actually go and sue in international courts, not in Jamaica courts, in international court, and more than likely they're gonna win because they have an active treaty, and the active treaty is between the head of state and the Maroons, the head of state being the British government. So there's nothing that the Jamaican government can do to infringe on those people's rights. They can't even go inside there and militarize the zone. They cannot do that. No, they cannot do that. And that is the reason. You think, say, if them could have sent police and soldier in there, they would have sent the police and soldier them in there long time. They would have done that long time. Yeah? But because them know, say, if them do that, the leaders are going to bring them to international court. So this whole debate, I say, oh, Richard Curry this and them not independent and then do that. You just go read and educate on yourself and stop full up the people them head with a bunch of nonsense. Alright? Because the facts are clear. They're not an independent state. I don't know if they actually claim that they're an independent state, but they're not a state within Jamaica. They control the territory. Yeah? So the government of Jamaica cannot come inside that territory and dictate to them. They cannot. And that is why you see the people them of Accompong and other Maroons are doing. They are protecting their sovereignty within their territory according to their treaty with the head of state, which is the British government. Yeah? When people are talking and people are spewing, want to go do some research. Everything is out there for you guys to go and research and learn. The treaty is not between the Jamaican government. The treaty is between the king and queen, the English crown, and the Maroons, which is still in existence. Yeah? And the only way that we might see some changes is when Jamaica become a republic. When Jamaica become a republic, that treaty more than likely will be null and voided. And then they may have to go into a new treaty with Jamaica, or everything will go just done. Yeah, everything will go just done. It just depends on what the British government will say when them sign up on giving Jamaica full independence to become a republic. Full independence to become a republic, more than likely I would say that that treaty will be null and void. Yeah? That is the research on this topic here. Let me know how my sound in the comment section. Am I on the right track? I mean, these are the facts of the case. These are the facts of the case. But let me know if when Jamaica eventually becomes a republic, if the treaty itself is going to be null and void. That I'm not sure of. That may need some additional research on that one. I think I'll do another video on that one. What will happen to the Maroons sovereign land, yeah, indigenous land, if and when Jamaica becomes a republic? Will the treaty actually go away, go by the wayside, and then they will fall under Jamaican law, and them can't tell the Jamaican government nothing? That is another video to come. This is your boss, feeding you credible information on the internet. No bias around here. Not on one side, not on the other side. Just researching the facts. And the facts are, the Maroons are independent, sovereign citizens, sovereign indigenous tribes, sovereign indigenous tribe in Jamaica. Them control them territory, them govern them territory, but they still abide by Jamaican laws. So if them find somebody down there where commit a crime, them turn them over to the police. Them work with the government, but they are sovereign within them territory. Alright, my people, according to the treaty that was signed 1738 to 1739. Until next time, well good, my people. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Peace out.
Yo, 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 yo,